Welcome to another episode of Den Excelsior. This is the live weekly podcast discussing the latest Marvel happenings across all media. But we've also been known to stray off topic from time to time. If it's super powered, we'll discuss it here. This episode is being recorded on the evening of Friday, April 30th, 2021. My name is Dennis, and with me, I've got a distinguished panel of nerds. First up, his homework for this week was to watch Blade 2. But I can almost guarantee that he did extra credit. It's Frank.
Hey, yeah, I definitely did some extra credit. I watched part 1. I started watching part 3, but then I thought, nah, not right now. I'll do it some other time.
It's not worth it to do 3, man. 3's rough.
No, we started thinking about it, and we were like, no, no.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah. But watching one movie for the week, that's fine. You know, that's doable. And anything else you want to do, that's up to you.
Yeah, I watched 2, and I won't watch the show yet.
Oh, the show's all right.
Show's all right.
And then let's introduce one more person before we get more into the chit chat. He can't stop reminding us that he'll be out on vacation next week. It's our next gen voice. It's Ricky.
Heyo.
We're gonna replace you next week, sucker.
Yeah, I figured. But
yeah, with a special guest. It's okay. Are you excited?
Can we say right now?
Are you excited?
Go
I
back?
don't want to overcommit because then like
okay.
if they cancel on us, then
what if he gets hit by a car or something? Or
yeah, or she
or
she one of the
or she.
They.
Yeah.
What if they?
No, I'm excited to take I guess somewhat of a vacation. It's been over a year. To travel and see family and friends. But yeah.
Ooh. Anything else going on this week besides that?
Let's see. This week was slow. I was telling you I watched a lot of stuff today, partially because we had movie homework. I watched Mask, wrapped up all of Ted Lasso, which is great.
What's Ted Lasso?
It's that show on
Apple TV show
Apple
with
TV.
Jason Sudeikis. He won the Golden Globe for it.
Oh wow.
He's like a football coach that goes to Europe to teach or coach soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And all the hilarities that ensue. But yeah, I also today on a whim watched the end of King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong, and it's like, oh, I forgot
Jack
Michael.
Black, Adrian Brody, Naomi Watts.
Is it Michael Chandler or last name Chandler? That dude, Kyle Chandler. He's in that movie, and he's also in the new Kong movies, which I thought was interesting.
No, he's not in the new Kong movies. He's in the Godzilla movies.
Fair. He's in the new Godzilla movies, which feature Kong.
I feel so lied to.
One movie.
Seven degree of King Kong.
One movie features Kong. Yes, 2. But yeah.
Well, we know the Godzilla series didn't really get started until 1998. Matthew Broderick was the one that brought Godzilla into the new world.
That's how I celebrated my 5th birthday. Was a Godzilla 1998 party.
Nice.
This is what happens when I ask you guys how your week was. It goes out of control.
It devolves. I ditched school for that movie. And,
oh man!
Really?
I bought tickets to watch it during school. Ditched school, watched it, and then I had tickets for the 7:00 showing with my girlfriend. And she's all like, "Well, you ditched school to watch it, so now you have to watch it with me." And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. I had to watch it twice in a single day. It's the worst thing ever.
Greatest day ever. Speaking of school, I applied to school yesterday, so if I talk about it again, that's good news. If I don't talk about it again, then forget I ever said that. So
okay. What are you going back to school for?
Communications. I'm learning how to communicate better for this show.
I thoroughly endorse this. I endorse it too.
I endorse it. You could learn how to push buttons a little better and more timely.
That's fair.
You know, we got to put our money where our mouths are next week.
That's more of trade school, which I'm not going to. So,
next week we have to do it ourselves without you.
I know. We'll see. I'm gonna be flaming you guys in the comments.
Watch we get an Emmy for next week. We're just like, oh my god. We have somebody in the chat. Just really quick, they did. I know I normally don't do this, but they just asked BlizzX, "Are you discussing Invincible?" We do not require everybody on the show to watch Invincible, but I will tell you that I finished it this season and I loved it. It was excellent, but I don't want to spoil it because this is the Mostly Marvel podcast, so it feels dirty to like.
It ended today, right?
It ended yesterday.
Yesterday,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could say today.
We could say today. I watched it at 5:00 yesterday, so I don't know. But anyways, but thank you for tuning in, and I would love to chat with you about that all the time. But I have some co-hosts that don't watch it for different reasons.
He says that. So I watched the first episode, and like I just wasn't into it. It wasn't tickling my fancy. Like I wasn't down with another Superman story, and I wasn't shocked by the animation of what's his name, Ultraman or J.K. Simmons man, Omni-Man, cracking everyone's domes and just roughing up everybody. That's an understatement, by the way. I just wasn't into it. Like I normally love a lot of violence, but that didn't feel like violence. That felt like Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, like kind of thing. It wasn't. I've seen it before. I've seen all that.
I watched
the
first, I guess, 10 minutes of the last episode right before this because it came up on my YouTube algorithm, and it looked cool. I had no idea what was going on, but people were fighting.
It would be great. It would be great. Anyways, okay, the chat is getting wild now. So like,
wait, so Ricky's Benjamin buttonsing it.
I just need to know,
however you want to say that.
What it builds up to.
It is not a secret that Ricky likes spoilers. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
That'd be cool. Hey, start from the last episode and then make your way back, see how it all started.
Let's get all the
it would make WandaVision good.
Let's get all the required stuff out of the way so we can continue this chit chat. I just wanted to say we have a fun show planned. We're excited to do something a little different this week. We're going to be revisiting the 2002 classic Blade 2. But before that, we've got some news and rumors to discuss, and a brief chat on a nerd topic of Frank's choosing, actually.
I chose it. Nice.
I would say you chose it. It was your topic. I liked it. I endorsed it. I endorsed it even. As a reminder, this is also a chance for you to pick our brains with any marvelous trivia, questions, or opinions that you may have. We'll be checking the comments throughout the show like we have been already. Thank you, Cow Soda, for showing up to talk more Invincible, even though these two guys didn't do anything about it. And then for those of you that can't get enough of us, you can visit www.patreon.com/DanXmedia immediately after this broadcast ends for our live post show, The Soapbox, where we wind down and talk about stuff we didn't get to in like the first hour and a half here. In that one, I'll probably try and sell Invincible more to them. But, that's up to you if you want to join us for that. Okay, cool. With that out of their way, we can continue chatting, or Ricky, you can go to the news, however you want to do it.
Well, we were in some news before we get into the news. You want to lead us into that?
I mean, it sounds like you led us into that.
I mean,
check this out.
And I mean, I guess it's we.
It's totally we. We're all DenX Media here.
I don't remember you guys being part of that, but yeah, sure. I'm
pretty sure we said, hey, you should put like these figures over here. Like I'm pretty sure we said that.
No, just a little quick, backstory, I guess. Weekly, I've mentioned it before, but I play with toys weekly. I do a photo series with a friend of ours, Nas, aka Gigamock, almost every Monday or every Tuesday. It's a photo series called Figure Photo Fight, where we come up with a theme, and then the two of us try to take toy photography to see who's who liked who's better. So I did one a week ago that was, I called it Fail Hydra, and it's this cool picture of a Hydra Bob busking at a subway station, and he's got a little sign there that says "We'll hench for food." I liked it. It was fun. The internet loved it. It loved it so much that it actually ended up being covered on marvelousnews.com, which is I actually really like this website. So I was really excited to see a picture that I took being featured on there. I was a little bummed because he changed the title on my picture. He changed it to "Will Hench for Food." I thought "Fail Hydra" was a little more clever, but it's free publicity.
Take what you can get.
I'm not going to knock it. But yeah, I was really happy to see that, and they like to feature different toy photographers that are up and coming, every now and then. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of my is it our work now, guys?
Yeah, our work.
I'm pretty sure I unboxed one of those legends, so
yeah,
that's my credit.
I was all like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if Stan was looking at a map? That'd be really sick. I'd love to see that in a photo fight one day." Yes. We will ride the shit out of your coattails, is what it comes down to.
I got that. I got that. No,
I push buttons. God damn it!
Yeah, it was a big milestone though. I appreciate it. It was really cool to see, an actual legitimate website covering something that any of us did. How about that? So yeah. But if you guys get us on a website, I'll take credit alongside too. So it's fine.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
But I'll get us on the FBI's most wanted.
Oh God.
Yep. You want to be that orange dot, Dennis? We're gonna be that orange dot.
No, I don't. We're not taking credit for the orange dot. But yeah, that was a big one. But yeah, thank you, Ricky, for pointing that out.
Cool.
Are you just gonna? Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's it. No, he's out.
Yeah, Ricky's out. He's going on vacation now.
He's checked out of the short timer syndrome.
Is it time for some news?
I was throwing it to you, so I think it is.
I think it is.
All right, Ricky, get the energy up. Let's get this
Alrighty.
started here.
The Oscars were this past Sunday, and Eternals director Chloe Zhao wins big. She took home
for Eternals.
Not for Eternals, because that movie is still yet to come out.
I know.
But for her movie Nomadland, she took home the Best Director Oscar and the Oscar for Best Picture.
That's cool.
That's kind of awesome. It's kind of cool that Marvel has this kind of talent.
They locked her down before she got the Oscar.
Before she got expensive.
They seem to scout people pretty well. Like
they are really good. Really good. They are.
I can't wait to Photoshop that picture. Actually, to be honest.
Oh man.
Move
on. Oh, okay. I did want to add one thing. They did. There was a bit of extra Eternal news that came out today. Kevin Feige confirmed that Gemma Chan was actually going to be the lead role or she was going to be playing the lead role in that movie. Because I think there was a little ambiguity because there's so many famous people like Salma Hayek and there's like 2 Game of Thrones actors.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, there's a lot of actors in this. And so what is it? Bryce Tyree Henry, or is that his name? I can't remember.
Brian? I think it's Brian Tyree.
Brian, yes. There's a lot of people in the movie, and so it wasn't really clear like who's the focal point. So it is apparently Gemma Chan, which I like Gemma Chan. I was really bummed when she was Minerva in Captain Marvel, and she was just latered at the end of that movie, and I was like, no, I need more Gemma Chan. So yeah. I'm pretty happy that they were like, she was blue. We can reuse her again as not blue.
That's how it works.
Gemma Chan was great in Rumble in the Bronx and Mr. Nice Guy. And,
oh man, move on now, Ricky.
Beyond me. Okay, Tanaka Hodge tapped as head writer for the Disney Plus Ironheart series. She is known for the Snowpiercer TV show, which I've not seen. Yep. I've heard great buzz on. I like the movie.
I like this show, but as like a guilty pleasure. I won't say it's a great show, but if you like the movie, there's elements to like about the show.
Is it in the movie universe or is it a retelling of that story?
It's a retelling.
Okay.
It's a slower retelling, way slower. Yeah.
Have
But
you seen
again,
that movie, Frank?
that's no, I haven't. That's an example though of like a kind of a green director right there, green showrunner, and she's gonna be in charge of Ironheart. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
It's cool to see that Marvel's gonna develop this person into I don't know, for
A
better or for
money-making
worse, they're gonna
machine.
develop into like a creature that makes money, basically.
Yeah.
Creature that makes money. Speaking of creatures that made money, Assembled, the making of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, dropped today. Like that segue.
Nice couple of
This
creatures.
is the second episode of the Assembled series. The first one dropped when WandaVision obviously wrapped. They showed like a making of, and I was able to watch it today, and it's it's pretty cool to see them break down some of the decisions that they made within that story. They talk a lot about COVID and how that impacted their filming.
I mean,
Cool
I
to watch.
watched it too, but thanks for mansplaining to me.
Oh, did you like it?
I did like it. I didn't think there was a lot of new information until like it got towards the end where they started showing you how much of that show was actually digital effects. Like I did not realize how much digital effects were there. Like that whole scene on the trucks when they're the first, where Sam and Bucky first have their first
Second
action
episode
together. Yeah, second episode. That whole truck scene, man, so digital, because like they actually filmed it in Atlanta because they thought they could make Atlanta look like
Germany.
Germany.
Munich, right?
Yeah, they thought they could make it look like Munich. And then when they were done filming it, they're like, this don't look like Munich. So they like digitally removed the entire background and replaced in every scene, and then replaced it with like Germany. And it's really cool looking to see. Like it was awesome. And then Sam's mask at the end of the show.
That was my favorite little nugget. Like,
yeah, dude.
The way if someone were to wear that actual suit, you would see gaps when he would move his head with the I guess it is a mask, right?
Well, it's a mask, but because it doesn't go around the head, right? Like there's giant gaps that end up happening every time he turns his head and stuff. And so they digitally they were just fine with it. They knew it was going to do that because their plan was to digitally clean it up to make it look like nice, cool Wakanda tech. So, like, yeah, Sam's speech his entire time talking, digital effect.
That looked pretty digital. Like I don't think that's
really.
Yeah, it looked hecka digital. Yeah,
I thought there was some
people the whole time.
That looked so digital. It looked so phony.
It was just the neck, dude. Just
yeah,
phony.
It was just the neck. Wow, Frank.
Moving on.
Breaking my heart.
This bit of news dropped last week. We didn't have to touch on it, but Russell Crowe is going to play Zeus in Thor: Love and Thunder. He dropped that last Friday.
I feel like that should have come with a spoiler warning. Jeez.
I mean,
Yeah,
he came out and said it.
That doesn't mean he didn't spoil it. That's
Zeus
that's a huge spoiler.
Is it really?
I feel like it is because when was the last Greek god you saw in a Marvel movie?
Not Hercules.
Was it Princess Diana?
Yeah.
How does that play out typically, though? Like, are they just both exist, Greek and
they
Norse?
just hang out.
They all exist. They're the only two. They all exist.
Yeah, they have the Norse. Yeah. They even have the African gods, as evidenced by Moon Knight.
Native Americans.
They have Native American gods too.
Is Jesus in the Marvel universe?
I wish. Jesus and Muhammad have not made their way to the to the Marvel universe quite yet.
Do you not have that Legends figure, Dennis?
I have a custom. It's a custom Jesus. It's my bro Thor, like with his Crocs and stuff. But no, I'm not gonna finish this. I'm not gonna finish it.
Right.
With sicker abs.
Oh,
on the Legends topic, Marvel Legends update.
That was a pretty impressive segue there. I like that.
See where I'm going with this? I think we talked about this when they leaked a few weeks ago, but we got a full reveal of the Shang-Chi figures as well as the full reveal of the I guess the Disney Plus series wave. So
Yeah, I actually have some Shang-Chi figures right here behind me. I just got all mine in the mail because Sunday was the official street date, like I had been saying for a couple weeks. All the Shang-Chi merch went up on Sunday, and I got an Aquafina toy, man. It's pretty cool. She was a Target exclusive. She's
looks
called
cool.
Marvel's Katie. She comes with some weird creature that has no face that I'm sure is a spoiler, but I have no context, so whatever.
I think that's from Crazy Rich Asians, actually.
Oh,
That
no.
creature.
The creature.
It was in the wedding scene.
Oh my god.
oh man.
When they say, I noticed some of the toys, just in Legend in general, say like Marvels or whatever. Is that just because they don't have the light? They can't trademark Katie.
Kind of. It's kind of the reverse, right? It's more that like they need to say something to distinguish it because the term is so ubiquitous. So like for example, whenever they do a Cyclops toy, it says Marvel's Cyclops, and it's not because they don't have they totally have like trademarks on the character's Cyclops, but they can't like they don't want to ever be accidentally confused with any other Cyclops, because Cyclopses are just known throughout the world. It doesn't have to just be that character. So they just slap a Marvels on there whenever it's like the potential for ambiguity is there, just to make it very clear.
Cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's run through these bad boys. Marvel's Katie. Oh, they're going to be
DC's
next.
Katie. There's DC's Katie.
Yeah.
The Bucky figure. Our Zemo, he comes with a mask and unmasked. Our U.S. agent figure.
Dude, that U.S. agent figure, stop for a second. I dare you to look up an actual picture of U.S. agent.
Oh, this is what I was going to ask. This is what I was going to ask you.
It is so inaccurate.
As a collector, what's the argument for still getting it aside from the Build-A-Figure?
No, that was the argument.
That's it. Because there's going to be another U.S. agent at some point down the line. Without
they already said so. The Marvel Legends team did their live stream on Monday, and they were almost like half apologizing for that figure as they were showing it off by saying that they would love to get another crack at this figure sometime down the line. And I'm like, what's wrong with getting it right the first time? So yeah, it's a real bummer because like if we saw him in last week's episode, he's got white and red stripes on his chest, and it's really funny because actually on this one it's black and red, but everywhere that it's black is supposed to be red, and everywhere that's red is supposed to be white. On top of that, he's got a star on his head that he should not have, and the star on his chest is actually black in the show as well. So it looks like they really just took that Walmart one that was, Captain America, and they just changed the black, or they changed the blue to black.
What's funny is I saw a picture of, I guess, one of the old Showbiz toys of a U.S. agent, and it's essentially just a repaint of a Captain America, but you can see the scale mail and the star all molded into the figure, but it's just painted over.
And like an old one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the new ones, the way they got around that is they just didn't even mold a unique scale mail for Captain America, so that way they could just paint. It's basically just a naked body, so they could just paint Captain America
Bucky Cap body.
Yeah, it is.
Heard that term before.
That's what it was called.
All right, moving on. There's Sam.
Sorry, you slowed me down there. Sorry about that.
No wings, Sam.
Sam without the wings, but in his new costume.
But obviously Wanda. CG neck on that Sam.
Yeah, CG neck.
It's really bad.
Wanda, we've seen Vision. There's Loki in his new Time Variance Authority jacket.
Also with neck issues.
Obviously CG neck and mustache.
Obviously not CG neck. And then the Build-A-Figure for this is actually a really detailed like set of wings that are actually posable, and there's a stand and there's a red wing, all to be attached to the the Sam figure, the Captain America figure. So
Cool.
yeah,
Only one Red Wing. That's bullcrap.
I
Oh,
know,
wait, no,
right? I know, right? There should be a
We still got
red
more.
wing on top of the ring. And then there's Shang-Chi. Wow, that's almost the exact same pose I got him mine in.
That's
right
funny.
Here.
That looks like he's holding a sword that has two handles. Like, why does a sword have two handles, and why is he holding it from
the sword
middle.
part.
The bow staff, right?
Yeah.
He knows.
It's a bow
He's
staff?
trolling.
I didn't realize
got-
he had like sneakers on.
Yeah,
He's
he
got
does. I
bow
love his
staff
shoes. They're really cool.
skills.
They're really cool. Keep going.
Oh, Bihan?
Wenwu, aka Bihan. No, not Bihan. That's Wenwu. Did you notice the rings on his arms, Frank?
Heck yeah, I did.
I dig it. That's
Is
a cool
it-
way to do that.
I noticed when he's punching the gambling table in that scene in the
Nice.
trailer.
Do you like that better? Do you think that's cool? That his-
No, I'm fine with it. I don't think it's better or worse. I'm
okay.
I'm okay. I'm okay
I mean,
with this
have
concession.
you ever worn 10
Yeah.
rings on your hands, Frank?
I hate wearing jewelry, so no. I wear my wedding ring is in my back pocket. I keep it always on me in my back pocket.
Wearing 10 rings would suck. That would suck on your hands. Like that would feel very uncomfortable. So I actually like this reinterpretation. Just without knowing any more about it, I think it's cool to adopt
Yeah.
that. It's a Hungar style, right? Like
Yeah. It's the long fist.
Yeah.
We've seen that style in Kung Fu Hustle. Again.
Oh yeah.
Bringing that up, yeah.
Hey, look, that's a similar pose but different. I like mine. Mine's pretty cool.
That's cool. Is that Hela from
that is
Thor?
Xialing. That is his sister. That is
Detail on the chest right here.
Yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
they're really cool looking figures for sure.
That's cool. In English, we call her Hela from Thor.
I will say, what weirds me out is up close. The face looks like Anna Hellstrom from the Hulu Hellstrom show.
She looks like Kate Blanchett. She looks totally like.
No, it looks like Anna Hellstrom. I promise. Up close, it does. It's
That's
also
Kate
that
Blanchett.
haircut. That haircut's not helping.
She was in Benjamin Buttons for sure.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Moving on.
Karate Benjamin Buttons.
There's
Oh,
the
another
death
Bihan.
dealer.
Death Dealer. He looks
Death
like he's going to
Dealer.
be hard to pose.
Why is he shooting splooge?
You know, he is hard to pose because that stupid robe is not very stretchable. And also, for reuse purposes, he's rocking Ant-Man's legs.
I saw that. And the chest too, apparently, right?
He might be rocking Ant-Man's body entirely. Like, yeah.
How old is he? Is he wearing those therapeutic arch support shoes? That's
Well,
pretty
those
cool.
are Ant-Man's arch support
Those are-
shoes.
Oh, okay.
Shape ups.
And they're also non-slip. So he
Is
doesn't
the
fall.
Death Dealer historically a Shang-Chi rogue villain?
Yeah.
Or
I believe
villain?
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not something
And
they
and
tied back in.
Razor Fist also, right? Razor Fist is in the movie as well.
He was in, yeah, we
He's
saw
in the
him in the
movie.
trailer.
I was really surprised to see him in the trailer. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
That's not a Marvel
What
Legends.
figure's that? What figure's that? You meant there was more figures than that in the wave, by the way, Ricky.
Oh yeah, there was the
The
Captain-
hologram Iron Man and
hologram Iron Man
and the
and-
Civil Warrior.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool.
cool.
Was
That's
that
the
it for
news. That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, that was a lot of toy news. I would say I'm excited, but I already have like half of them here, and the other half we've been like teased for like I don't know 8 weeks now, 12 weeks, like 16 weeks, I think actually.
I mean, they're in a dry spot right now, right? What's
They've
the
been-
next set of toys coming out after that?
Well, the trick is the ones that get pre-ordered now, those come out later in the year. So like
Mhm.
that wave that we looked at with the Disney Plus ones, that's like late half of the year that I'll actually get them in the mail. But like stuff I pre-ordered like last year is arriving now. So far they've been on track for pretty good. Like they usually do almost like one wave every month, and so far we've gotten three waves. We got a Spider-Verse wave, we got that X-Men House of X wave, and then Shang-Chi wave. So they're just missing one extra wave somewhere in there. But they do
Who's
have
I meant to ask this earlier on Fail Hydra. Whose guitar was that? Was that Hobie Brown's?
that is Hobie Brown's guitar.
Is it okay?
Who's
Yes.
Obi Brown?
Spider-Punk.
Spider-Punk, yeah.
I see.
Yes. Well,
Question
should
of the
we
week.
move on to the question of the week that we thankfully got from Frank. I really liked the thought that he put into this one. I think Frank was just kind of curious. He originally started with like trying to see like what kind of takeaways we have from last week's finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I was like, I might be kind of tired of specifically talking about that show, just because like we talked a lot about it last week and also in the soapbox as well. But then he reframed it, and I really liked the way this question was reframed, which was basically, between the first two Disney Plus series that we've seen, WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they both told stories of grief processing and racial inequality, respectively. And he was just wondering, what other real world issues would you like to see Marvel tackle? I think that's a pretty cool question. And I want to throw it to Ricky first, because I don't want to throw it to Frank because he asked the question.
Oh, man. This is something that actually, I guess, is rumored to be part of the internals, but the LGBTQ community, I feel, is a little represented in the MCU, and just the the struggles and what comes with that, and it's just something that we haven't seen in that universe, which I would be excited for them to explore. It's like, the world we live in is filled with people of all types, so I think it's time for the movies and our superheroes to have that as well.
Interesting. I will counter that with something though, like, because I was just talking last week about how much I'm praising these stories nowadays for not bothering to do love interests and stuff like that, right? Like, there was really no love interest in Falcon and the Winter Soldier for either Sam or Bucky, right? Like, that wasn't what that was about.
Sam had Sarah, so that was cool, and they had those two lovely kids together.
No.
I don't think that's how that worked.
Wait, are you saying he wasn't? Never mind.
No. But you know what I mean? So while I do agree that I believe, representation is super important, I don't want it to be, I don't ever want it to be the focal point, right? I want it
That's fair.
These are cool characters doing cool things that happen to be these things that people want to see on screen more.
I'm a fan of showing and telling. I think the Disney's Pixar's Onward had a gay character in it that, they wasn't overt or anything. They just showed them with their partner. But even just stuff like that, we haven't seen in the MCU, just people interacting with their lives. And
well, because contextually it's not, I mean, this is like, this last show was the first time we got to see people go home. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't normally happen.
True.
With the exception of Iron Man, who's just hanging out with Pepper all the time,
but his home is completely unrelatable.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not knocking in any way what we got out of Sam and Bucky's experiences. Like, that was great, but I'm saying amazing. Like, that's not something we normally see in the MCU. So it's hard to squeeze in those real life moments where we get to see their lover or whatever,
like Eli would have been like, "Oh, I sell feet pics on OnlyFans," and then he just says that one line, and that's
and
it.
It's like representation, yes,
and he's like representation, and then he like runs away.
No, but yeah, it has to work, With that, I do want to say that my specific answer to this question also did deal with my specific interest in seeing more representation of the disabled community, because I really feel like Marvel's tried in the weirdest ways ever to give us representation through War Machine and Nebula, and I'm like, guys, do
you count Professor X into that loop or no?
I do not, because one, he's not in the MCU, and the question was MCU specifically, I think, or you know what, but two, I don't count Professor X because in those most recent movies, that guy literally chooses to be disabled.
Does a lot of walking in those
He's always roaming around.
No, but like, it's a choice. It's a life choice he gets to make. He gets to decide if he wants super Professor X powers, then then he doesn't, for some reason, he doesn't get to walk. But if he wants to, he can just take a serum, suppress the powers, and then he can go for a jog. And that's stupid. And that's really
That's not a comic
disrespectful.
thing, right?
No, but the comic thing's even worse,
Kind
though,
of,
because
yeah.
the comic thing has been retconned to the point where it's a mental projection that he puts on people. Like that, like it's not that he's actually, it's not that he's actually,
my God.
yeah. And I think they did that because they knew that the character in general was just insensitive. So they just decided to say, you know what, this is not our actual disabled character. So don't champion him or anything like that. You know what I mean? But like,
They've also healed the shit out of him, like
many times
within the past
many
20
times.
years, especially. Yeah.
Exactly. And so in general, like that's a trope in comic books, not just in Marvel, is like if somebody's in a wheelchair, they got to figure out a way to write them out of that wheelchair. And I'm like, I don't have that luxury, man. So like I and I appreciate that, Rhodey and Nebula had this touching moment when they went to pick up one of the Infinity Stones together, and like they were kind of talking about how it's weird, because they got all this gear, right? They got all this gear that it's part of them. It's just
Work what
who
you
they
got.
are. Yeah, work what you got. And I like the sentiment, but at the same time, I'm like, I just saw Rhodey completely look normal in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, and by normal, I mean like you can't tell in any way
Tony
that
Stark pimped him out before.
He's got a severed spine or anything. You know what I mean? Like he gets,
Lieutenant Dan got
that's
legs.
what I want to ask you that. I mean, would you rather see if they mentioned like, I guess, hidden disabilities? Would that, I don't say would that be enough? But
well, the Eternals will have I believe either a deaf or mute character.
yes,
I'm pretty sure it's deaf because that person does sign language, right? Didn't they make up a sign language? Am I making this all up? Did I dream this?
You can do sign language either way, though, deaf or mute. That's
Oh, no, but I thought it was deaf. That's the way I remembered it.
with
Yeah.
yeah. That was enough, and I believe the actress is deaf or mute.
Yeah, and that's cool, and that's important, and I know that's going to be part of the natural flow of the movie. You know what I mean? It's not going to be something that's ham-fisted in there somehow. And I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to it. But I want more than that. You know what I mean? Like it's
Lauren
just,
Rydolph.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird how just in general the comics have this problem trying to figure out how to tell a story of a hero that is confined to a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's because they don't have enough people in wheelchairs that are writing for them or whatever.
That's totally it, right? Like I wouldn't feel comfortable writing something like that if I had not had that type of experience. And it's like I don't think you can ever.
Well, you can do research though, like
you can do research, but
you don't have to do like Artie.
Okay, like I am not a fan of the idea that everybody who writes something must know about it 100% from experience. Like that's not feasible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You got to bash out your spine that way you know what it's like.
If that was the case, then Stan Lee would have never been allowed to make the Black Panther. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah.
Like, you can go in there with the best intentions, but so what I'm saying is like, I really enjoyed when Barbara Gordon, I don't mean I enjoyed it, like, but but there's a huge moment in the Batman comics where the Killing Joke, Joker paralyzed Barbara Gordon, who's Batgirl. Mm-hmm. And for a long time in the comics,
she's been Batgirl this whole time.
That was, I spoiled that. That became canon, and she found a way to operate as Oracle and still be like the guy in the chair basically for team Batman. And I was always a really big fan of that because I thought that was super cool that she found a way to still be contributing to this superhero effort. But when the writers got tired of that, there's like, nah. She walks again, and that's a huge slap in the face, man. Like that's really
it lasted a while too.
It did, but like
20, 30 years, something like almost 30 years.
But there's just no good reason that you need to stop telling that story. That was a perfectly legitimate character that could have just stayed that way. That happens. People get in car accidents, people fall downstairs, you never know, like, or people are just born that way. and you don't have to shy away from it just because you didn't experience life as somebody paralyzed, like, or
it's like
paraplegic.
it's those. I remember when Stephen Hawking passed, and they had those crazy ass drawings of him like stepping out of the chair and walking into heaven. It's like,
yeah, that was super offensive to me for sure.
Like,
Well,
it's like you're missing the
chairs
point.
don't go to heaven, do they? Do chairs go to heaven?
Well,
or?
okay, two reasons super offensive, totally getting off track. One, Stephen Hawking doesn't believe in heaven. Okay.
Yes,
So that
okay.
that in itself is super offensive. All right. That's able-bodied or not. Like, don't, like, if I tell you I don't think I'm going to heaven, don't freaking draw me going to heaven after I'm dead. Like,
we're gonna get some cool drawings once you're dead, then, Dennis.
In all honesty, I don't care what you do after I'm dead. It's fine. But like, I'm just saying it's super disrespectful. You know what I mean? But two, to decide that, like, oh, if he could go to heaven, this is what he would want. That's able-bodied people pushing their narrative onto people that are disabled. You know what I mean? Like, I promise you, I don't spend every day of my life wondering what it would be like if I could walk. I don't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is not even, like, it's not part of my life. So I'm fine with it. It's okay. But yeah, I just want to see more characters represented in that capacity. Sorry, I stole that spotlight for so long.
No, that's great. No, I like that.
I can't wait for Frank to follow up.
I like hearing more about it. Because like Barbara Gordon was like a permanent thing. That's how I knew her coming into comic books. I already knew her in the chair at that point.
I have a Barbara Gordon action figure, if you want to call it action figure, on my
action
desk.
figure
it
on
goes
my desk, and I love it.
You're setting, I guess, defaults, like, with the new Captain America's black. That's the default. Into the Spider-Verse, you have Miles as the new Spider-Man, and I guess in Frank's take, Barbara Gordon had always had a disability. So
that's why I knew.
But she didn't always. But it's fine.
But
yeah.
When I started reading comic books in the early '90s, that was her default position, and it wasn't until later when I mailed out for a Batman comic book from the serial, and they accepted my mail in, and they sent me the comics, and it's the Untold Tales of Batman, and it talked about Barbara Gordon, and I'm all like, she was Batgirl? What the hell? How did that happen? I don't understand. What was the transition? So for me, that was interesting that they kept a character. They allowed for a natural progression of the character. And I think we talked about this when we were talking with Travis, how like, what was it? Like Uncle Ben stayed dead. Jason Todd for the longest time was still dead. Gwen Stacy dead. Bucky. Yeah. All these people were dead. And then they kind of brought them back and kind of upset the status quo a little bit. And I liked DC especially because they usually hold on to their status quo a lot longer than Marvel does. Marvel, like within the year, they'll bring back Wolverine or something, and they'll be like, "Whoa, no, we got 2 Hawkeyes now. No, 2 Hawkeyes. We got 2 Hawkeyes."
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I think it's one thing to accept that death is a really inconvenient thing in comic books, like you know what I mean, like it once you accept the nature of comic books is exactly. Ricky gets it. There's a business reason to not leave people dead, right? But there's not a business reason to not have representation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In fact, I would argue that there is a business reason to have representation, which is not a strong argument. I mean, everybody knows that. It's just, like, I'm not changing the world here. Like, yeah,
I agree. But
see, now what you got is Clark listing off characters who've died. We are not going to do that.
We can say that. We could do that all night. Like pretty much every character has died. There's no character that I think has stayed alive except for Darkhawk. No, even Darkhawk died in Marvel Zombies.
It's okay. We don't need to do this. But what was your answer to your question, Frank?
Whatever Dennis said. No, I actually mine is like kind of the society's pressure on kind of men. The way I initially put it was like kind of like the feelings of like loneliness and isolation, kind of brought on by society's expectation on men, how we have to be like, the fighters, the hunters, and we have to pay all the bills and stuff like that. And I think kind of touching on that would be really cool. But it doesn't have to be like a serious lens. It could be like just like 2 dudes like holding hands walking down the street being friends. And that sounds silly to say, but I think that's because society puts pressure on us to not do that. To when we're holding hands together, we got to be like, no homo, and then like pull our hand away or something like that for a joke. But why can't we support each other the way we often see women supporting each other, like through hugs and touching and stuff like that? Like, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think it's something that we could explore, and we could possibly perhaps change those expectations a little bit and kind of add to them.
There's like certainly a machismo to the MCU, right? You know, you have a bunch of buff dudes and I guess buff Chris's running around in the MCU, so it's like,
sure,
why can't they, be buds? Why can't they show them being buds?
I mean, they talked about that in Assembled today. Is actually like addressing the machismo,
the bodily expectations too. Like, not every guy has to look like He-Man, and there's a lot of expectations on women, and we're starting to see a lot more like, I don't want to say like full figured women in comics. They had that issue of Wonder Woman that had kind of like the chubby kind of. She seemed kind of like a person of color kind of representation of Wonder Woman. Like it was a special variant cover. But having guy characters like that would be cool too. I mean, who was it? Microman or something? I forget who he was, but he had the power to make himself less flabby, and so he was, as a result, he was buff. You know, like, why can't we have like more bro Thors out there, and have it not be the butt of a joke? Like bro Thor, that was one of the most offensive things of Endgame for me, was having bro Thor just be a joke.
Yeah, it sounds like you just want to see more representation of the people that you see in your average life. You know, like like.
Well, that's what representation is, right?
Yeah,
it's people I see in the average life. I see disabled people. I see trans people. I see women. I see men. Like I see all that. And
women don't sell comic book movies, Frank. You gotta go where the money's at.
Sure.
No, sure. I mean, no, you're right. You're right. It's about, putting everyone in that spotlight and giving everyone their time to shine and showing that it's important. I don't think you can stress how important it is. Until you see yourself on that screen.
I know. Yeah. This is why Clark says that's why I liked that Bro Thor was still worthy and didn't get magically fit.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He stayed chubby.
But spoilers.
My only gripe was that he was the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Spoilers. He is not chubby in the next movie. He worked that off. But that was a fun question. Thank you, Frank. And like audience, always feel free to pitch us, question ideas for the next weeks or the following weeks if you got something. Like,
Selena said something about Bad Bunny. What is she
said?
Bad Bunny. We were talking. Selena, my partner, we were discussing like how I feel like Ricky Martin got like a lot of shit for being gay when he came out a while back ago. In the Latin, in the Latin community, and then you have Bad Bunny, who's like the biggest face or biggest star on the planet right now, be very flamboyant in a lot of the things in his dress and everything, and like how everyone's just kind of cool with that. And I guess that's it's super cool in that sense.
A Ricky Martin had to walk so a Bad Bunny could run. That's kind of
that's cool. That's cool.
That's the way the world works,
But "Living a Vida Loca" still a great song.
Yeah, it's cool to dress like that. I often see like a bunch of cool outfits in like at secondhand stores in the girls section, and I'm all like, shit, I'm just gonna buy that. And
do it, Frank.
No one will know it's a girl's blouse that I'm wearing. But
makes you happy. Do it.
It just looks cool. It looks cool.
All right.
Should we move on?
We should move on.
Okay.
Bro Thor.
All right, guys. I think it's time to finally get to that spotlight. Go for it, Ricky. All right. Well,
harsh transition.
It was a little harsh, but I just wanted to make sure. Like, I saw that clock tick in, and I wanted to make sure. I always got a clock that I'm watching to keep us somewhat on task, and this is a weird one for us because we talked it over in the soapbox last week. We wanted to try and come up with something. I mean, we always had ideas for how we would do the show where there's not a Marvel movie or a Marvel TV show specifically that week to discuss. And we thought, well, we can do this like book club or movie club or whatever. We can go back and revisit classics or things that we thought were classic or whatever, and just for fun, just all three of us go and consume them and then give our thoughts on it. Like there's no reason. And so I think I don't remember which one of us pitched it, but I definitely was.
you.
It was me.
Probably you.
I pitched Blade 2, and I will say I pitched Blade 2 because it has a special place in my heart, because I love Blade 1 a lot, but I love that Blade 2 introduced me to Guillermo del Toro.
GDT.
And it's not necessarily that it introduced me to it, because I think what's that bug movie with Mira Sorvino?
Is that A Bug's Life?
No, not that one. What's the one where like there's these
American Beauty?
No, these mutated cockroaches that pretend to be humans.
Oh, Mimic.
Mimic. Thank you.
Bad Boys.
Yeah,
or,
apparently that's
Bad Boys for Life.
Apparently that's a Guillermo del Toro movie that came out before Blade 2, and that's actually why they hired him for this movie. They thought he would bring a cool aesthetic to Blade.
I was super young when this movie came out. Do you guys remember where and when you guys watched that movie?
I was in college. I was in college when I saw this.
Gaslamp 15 or Plaza Bonita, I think.
Yeah, such a great movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it'd be a fun one to talk about, and I thought it's obviously going to bring back memories and stuff. But really quick before we just go wax nostalgic about this, I wanted to give the audience just a fair shake of excuse me, sorry. It's possible that somebody in our audience either watched this a long time ago in 2002 or never watched it and doesn't or just doesn't remember. And so I wanted to do a quick recap just to get people up to speed on the general, plot synopsis of this one.
Yep. And to give the recap, here's Michael Pena. Oh, we didn't.
No, definitely not. I'm not going to do this nearly as cleverly as Michael Pena.
Dang.
But let me attempt to do it for you guys anyways. So in Blade 2, which is obviously the sequel to Blade 1, Blade is on a mission to recover his friend Whistler, played by Chris Christopherson, who was apparently turned and tortured by vampires 2 years ago. This is different information than we got at the end of Blade 1. And thankfully, with the help of his new tech wizard Scud, this side quest is resolved just in time for the main quest to begin. It turns out the Vampire Nation needs Blade's help to take down a new threat. It's a mutant hobo vampire named Jared Nomak, who is feeding on vampires and turning them into vampire, quote, crack addicts, aka Reapers. That's what they call them. So the Vampire Nation, they have a secret team of Blade hunting vampires in training known as the Blood Pack. I guess they've been training for 2 years to hopefully kill Blade because he used to be their biggest threat. But now they have to reveal themselves and team up with Blade to help him nip this potential pandemic in the bud. Of course, once the Reaper nest minus Nomak is destroyed, the Vampire Nation turns on Blade and reveals that Nomak was genetically engineered as they look for ways to remove their pesky weaknesses like sunlight, garlic, silver, all these things, Of course, also Blade double crossed by luring Nomak to their secret base and getting all the leadership killed. And then, Blade and friends, I guess just Whistler, right? They go off into the sunset and the end. Time for another Blade eventually.
That's Blade.
So yeah, that's pretty much Blade, right? And or Blade 2, sorry. And I guess I just want to know what you guys think of it or what you thought of it, like going into this, or going in and coming out of it, really. Ricky, so did you see this before when you were a kid?
I did. Gosh, I was 8, so definitely should not have seen this movie. I didn't remember much of it, and as soon as I turned it on, the CG flips and kicks, those all kind of started bringing the memories back, and I dug it. It's very of its time. I guess my question to you is, I don't remember Blade 1 at all, but this movie looks like it had a lot of influence from The Matrix. But I know the first Blade movie came out before The Matrix. So was the first movie, are they very similar in tone and style?
Yeah, the first one comes out. Frank, I think you're muted.
Whoopsie daisy.
But you were going to say, Frank?
The first movie predates The Matrix.
Yeah, the first movie predates The Matrix, and even if it might feel like the second one borrows from The Matrix, it's actually really not the case. I was doing some research on like fun facts and stuff, and how they onboarded Guillermo del Toro into this, because the original director, he wanted to go do other things, so he didn't want to do Stephen Norrington didn't want to do the sequel, and so David Goyer and I believe the producers, they all thought GDT would be a great fit for this. And to Guillermo del Toro's credit, apparently he went and like reviewed all of the dailies, like 4 boxes worth of videos from the first movie. He wanted to see everything that was ever filmed for the first movie, so that he could completely understand the visual language of Blade.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's really cool. Like, and he also wanted to make this new movie look a lot like, like a comic book and a Japanese animation, or anime.
There's definitely a style to it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a GDT style, and that's why I chose this movie, because like to me, it was the first time I really saw the bits of Guillermo del Toro, like the crazy looks of like creatures and things like coming at what would eventually come to be Hellboy and
Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth, yeah, like Shape of Water.
My favorite part of the movie was like the cyberpunk vampire tech. Obviously they have these weaknesses that vampires, all vampires have, like historically, and seeing them like, oh, if they put on like a wetsuit and cover their skin, they can't die by sunlight. That makes sense. Like, or the stakes and the bullets, or silver bullets, like it all. I love the cheese of the tech.
Wait, hold on, Frank. You didn't like the vampire ninjas?
The vampire ninja outfits were cool, because it's very Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
Before he was Guillermo del Toro, right?
Or
story wise, that whole scene makes no fucking sense.
The little Spider-Man,
yeah,
little eye things. Those things were cool, but no, I don't like their stupid workarounds, because what's the point of having a flaw like being weak to sunlight or UV light or whatever if you can overcome that flaw within a second? It's like Daredevil. It's kind of like a cop-out, making him blind because he can see still. Like,
but that's what, like, if you were a vampire in today's age, that's what you would do, right? Like, you have the technology to aid yourself from these weaknesses. Like, why wouldn't you use them?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we use bulletproof vests and stuff like that. But
yeah,
the fact is, though, like it just, if you're gonna give something a weakness, you got to stick with the weakness and work around that weakness.
Their weakness is they underestimate Blade.
Wait! You just said they got to work around the weakness. Why can't they work around the weakness?
They're fine to work around the weakness, but it doesn't translate very well to story. It just seems like a cop-out when it's in a story. It's kind of like putting someone in a wheelchair in a story and then finding a way for them to be out of the wheelchair in the same story. Like, it's a big cop-out.
I don't think it's the same, because like they could still end up easily killed by their weakness, whereas that person isn't necessarily going to end up back in the wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like all they have to do is like cut their clothing, and then their clothing is exposed to the sun, and they're screwed. You know,
it's like an extra layer.
Yeah, but clothing is also like, I see a wetsuit being like sunproof, but like like a t-shirt is not sunproof. If you hold a t-shirt up to the sun, rays still get through it, and then at that point it becomes ridiculous. Like, especially like when in the first one, Deacon Frost and his crew put on sunscreen. Like, that stuff wears out in like 2 hours. Like,
well, the movie got ridiculous like 5 minutes in.
They put on sunscreen and wear motorcycle helmets also, right? Like,
yeah.
And
they're big Daft Punk
and stuff.
Daft Punk fans.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I really think there's a weird thing going on with Blade 2, because on the one hand, I'm really conflicted about their take on vampirism being a straight up virus. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I really like that Goyer and Del Toro chose to push that narrative forward in this movie by having a mutation of that virus that could potentially cause a crazy pandemic that threatens the globe, right? I like that, but at the same time, I was asking questions today with my wife. Like, I was like, it's kind of weird, like that it's like a virus, but like they still behave in very supernatural ways. Like you know what I mean? Like, how does the virus cause their teeth to grow? How does the virus grow them new organs?
Like if it's a virus, it makes like the gothic nature of them kind of weird, right?
A bone around the heart.
How does the virus like cause them to explode when exposed to like sun or silver or garlic? You know what I mean? Like, there's some very weird things. And then on top of that, like, isn't the first movie like all about Deacon Frost like going to try and find this like magical blood god thing? Like,
Yeah,
so
La Magra. So he's bringing about a prophecy that was foretold.
Yeah, so they're mixing science and that in the same movie. It's a little weird. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about the first movie.
That's one of the strengths of two, though. Two
Yeah.
leaned more into the science, I think, and then
Yeah.
one was a little more supernatural.
And then while we were talking about it, like Lindsay asked me the question, like, well, how is he only half vampire if it's a virus, right? Like, if you catch if like your mom's pregnant and she gets HIV, you don't get half HIV, right? You get all HIV. Like, that's
It's like getting the Pfizer shot. You're only
You got to get the
you're
second
only
dose.
half immune. Yeah. You're only half immune.
And so it was just bringing weird things into question, right? So,
well, I know nothing about Blade from, I guess, except from the movies. Like, how, aside from Blade being the main character, like, is there anything else pulled from the comics, or is it all just
a lot
its
of
own thing?
Yeah,
Whistler,
pretty much all the names and stuff.
Yeah, all the characters.
Yeah, Deacon Frost is screen accurate. He's an old man and he has a beard, and he looked just like Steven Dorff did. And
No,
he didn't. All the characters, the Blood Pack. There was a group called the Blood Pack, and they were trained.
Okay.
They were vampire assassins. There was a lot more of them in the comics because
Mhm.
they had a lot more to pull from. And then in the third movie, where was it the Dark Star? No, I effed that up last time. It was the Night Stalkers, right? The Night Stalkers are Hannibal King and Whistler's daughter and stuff. They're all in the comic books. At one point, Blade was part of the Night Stalkers also.
Goyer is a giant fan of the comics, and so is Del Toro. So they tried to make sure that they were pulling things in from the comic books.
Oh yeah, and Dracula, of course, Dracula in part 3.
Yes.
Is that 3's the one with the blood rave, right?
That's the first one.
That's like all of them, probably.
Actually, good point. Yeah, they all have raves in some point. Yeah,
that's all
for sure. But the first one does have the blood sprinkler system.
Okay, yeah, I remember that for sure.
They piped in blood for some reason. I don't know. I would hate to go to that rave because on the ride home, you're just all sticky in your car.
You're gonna have to pay for that Uber cleaning fee.
For
unless it's the Kool-Aid blood that Blade jumped into at the end that was completely like off his body like 5 minutes later.
Put a freaking tarp on that thing. If you're gonna have your blood in a tank in a lab, just put a tarp on it. Maybe put a guardrail.
That does not look like a man who just took a bath in blood. Like it's like water, like colored water running off of him. I don't know. I was a little weirded out by that.
Watching this Blade, I am very curious on how they tackle Blade in the MCU, because I don't know how you do it without the blood or the slicing and dicing. It just seems like a very hard thing to pull off.
It's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was on TV for 7 years, and so was Angel for another 5 years, and they found a way to do it. You don't have to have blood to have the vampire stories.
Also, one of the things they do really well is one of the things they do that I hate is they'll have the violence about to happen and then cut away, and then you'll see the violence after it's already happened.
But in fairness, I mean, I think you got the gist of Joker's pencil trick without needing to see it go in the man's eye.
No, I needed to see it, and I was glad to see it.
Wait, you don't get to see it though.
You don't see it going into his eye, but you see a pencil and a head hit the pencil.
Yeah, but it's a magical cutaway trick, right? Like
there's no cutaway. Like he slams the dude's head in the in the
You
pencil.
see
That's
the
why I
head
like
Oh,
scan.
that.
well, you don't see the blood or anything like that.
There's
You
no
don't
Yeah,
see-
blood.
I don't know. I get your point in that regard. Yeah, you don't need gushing blood. It doesn't need to be a Tarantino
I mean,
Kill
it is
Bill action.
it is a cutaway, and that like they remove the pencil, and then they finish slamming the guy's head into the table.
No.
That's
They
that's
actually
movie-
killed the guy. They
That's
killed the guy.
oh crap, they did.
Yeah, they murdered him.
Nice.
It was
Okay.
I also love Wesley Snipes' wig in this movie.
Wig.
He's wearing a
That
wig?
has to be a wig, right?
That is not a wig. No way.
No.
You think that's a wig?
Are you crazy? You
I
know
think that's
Wesley
a wig.
Snipes is Wesley Snipes is method. He's a method actor, dude.
Yeah.
No,
need to
like
see.
they actually credited Wesley Snipes, Del Toro, and
He's a producer on the film, I saw.
and Goyer as saying Wesley Snipes knows more about the character than any of them. Like he always makes the call on what Blade would do in any scene, and sometimes they rewrite scenes because they trust his instincts of how it works. That is not a wig. I promise you, that is his real hair.
That man, I shit you not. I was thinking about this movie. Anytime he's in the daylight, his sunglasses are off. Anytime the lights are off or he's at night, the sunglasses are on.
He can see in the dark, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're on or off anyway.
He's going for aesthetic. He wears his sunglasses at night.
Funny story about the method thing. There's a story, Blade 3, I think it's what's his name, Ryan Reynolds, that tells it, and he talks about how he's so in character that it caused a lot of friction on the set. But one of the things that he thought was funny is that in the communal refrigerator, it would be like Blade sandwich would be marked. It would say like Blade sandwich or Blade's soda or something.
Yeah, that is not a wig at all. And if that was a wig, that is an amazing wig, by the way. Look at that fade. Look at that.
It's
that
actually
explains
CG.
why Wesley Snipes didn't pay taxes. He's like, these are Blade's taxes.
These are Blade's taxes, not
Blade's
Wesley
taxes.
Snipes's.
Well, tell me what. Let's see. Overall, what did you get from rewatching this? Did like Ricky? Did you enjoy this movie? Like, or Frank? What about you? Either go first.
Well, let's answer that question that C Cow Soda posed to Ricky in the chat.
Oh. Does Ricky even understand raves, or are they before his time?
Definitely before my time. I have not attended I guess I went to a rave, but it was not like that. The music is very different, and there was no blood. But I dug it. It's like it reminded me a lot of Spider-Man, like in the way the music would kick in, and like they do the action pose, and then Blade does like 10 flips before he even attacks the dude. Like there's a style to it that I dig, and I kind of miss that kind of cheese with action movies these days. You know, It's definitely of an era for sure.
Really, I feel like I don't know. I don't feel it's as dated as some people think. I don't know.
I feel like it's pretty dated.
The guitar riff kicks on, and
I mean the music is dated for sure, and like the way that like. Nah, I'm not even gonna knock the way some of them are dressed. I don't know. They just look very comic booky.
They're wearing glossy black, and they're supposed to be stealthy, like the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah,
the exact opposite you would want to wear.
I don't know why Chupa went from wearing sick chainmail, which is pretty helpful if you're getting stabbed or bitten by a vampire creature, to wearing that glossy black neoprene. Like, why are you wearing that? Like, you're gonna get bit, fool.
You know what's weird about the guy who played Chupa, Matt Scholze? Two things. One, he plays Kreese in Blade 1. Mm-hmm. And two, I saw him last week in Fast and the Furious.
Okay, I wasn't crazy.
Also wearing mesh shirts the entire movie. And I was like, does this guy just always wear mesh shirts or what,
I
man?
thought it was him. I didn't know. I'm like, this is the Fast and Furious dude.
Yeah. I decided he was the smartest guy in the Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah,
he's the only one that thought Paul Walker was fishy the entire movie. And
that Buster kept me out of handcuffs. He didn't go running back to that fort.
Paul Walker is fishy in real life for many reasons, but we won't talk about that here.
I never narc on no one. I never narc on no one.
Fun fact, guys, did you know that David S. Goyer's original idea was to use Morbius as the primary villain for this movie? but Marvel decided they wanted to retain the rights to make an entirely separate franchise out of Morbius. So the story was changed slightly, and Jared Nomak was created to be used as the primary villain instead.
Coming
They
soon
named
to a
him
theater near
Jared
you.
Nomak after Jared Leto, who they knew would play Morbius. They were playing the long game on this one.
I didn't
Very
even
long
add it
game.
to the news, but that movie got pushed back again this week, by the way. It got pushed back another week.
Oh,
It's like the
gosh.
last week of January.
Oh, man.
Anyways,
One day.
we only have so much time to talk about Blade.
There's also that thing that they do that tries to be cool. They're all like, they show off the cool vampires that are sitting there, and they're all like, oh, this is freaking Hams and Ramona Flowers and Jason Priestley and Snowball and Poopa and Rob Reinhardt, who directed North and This is Spinal Tap. And like, I'm all like, oh my God.
Definitely another one of those stroke moments I'm having right now.
but they're all posed and like looking all badass. He's like, oh, you guys are here to hunt me, huh? And he's all like, he's all, did you watch that? And then slap someone and like
that felt so comic book to me, man.
It did, like even the moment when Blade's like,
loved it.
Or Ron Perlman's like, it was a fake bomb. Blade's like, that's what you thought. It's a real bomb. So it's like,
well,
I was going to bring that up later, but yeah.
It was delivered a little better than that.
Yes.
But yes, you are right. That was a weird one. That was definitely a weird one.
There was like tons of double and triple and quadruple crosses in this movie.
Yeah.
Like everybody was it a meta thing to have all these double crosses because like it's a vampire story with a bunch of crosses. Like, oh my God, there's hella double crosses. That's the worst thing. Like
I will say that I thought like the weirdest thing for me rewatching this movie was realizing how much of the plot had the skeleton of aliens in it. Like when you talked about how they were showing off all these characters that are each like being tough and trying to be cool and have their character intro, that whole scene read like aliens to me when you're meeting the Space Marines and every single one of them is just ready to go kill aliens and stuff like that. Like there was so much of this movie that was like, did Goyer just totally rip off aliens and just make it a vampire story? And
a couple of them even turn. They even get infected.
They turn. One of them keeps it a secret. Like
Jason Priestley and Hams keeps it a secret.
Hamtaro priest. Yeah.
Hamtaro, you said? Okay.
And like Blade is basically Ripley, who's like who doesn't want to team up with them, but is kind of like forced to, right? Mm-hmm. And so like the reason I was bringing this up is because I felt like the only way he could not be called out on this aliens like ripoff was he had to slap on some crazy twists at the end to make you be like, no, this is Blade 2, and in Blade 2 we have twists, and I'm like, those are weird. Those are really bad twists.
We have the quadruple cross. It was really cool to see Norman Reedus being all young and shit. Like that was really cool. Like I'm used to seeing him as Daryl in The Walking Dead, and
what about Boondock Saints?
And Boondock Saints, one of the McManus brothers. So that was really cool to see him again and be a little younger, being like all Nick Stahl kind of.
Yeah, his turn to be a bad guy was like so obvious, and it's even if I pretended to have never seen that movie, it was just like, stop trying to make me believe Whistler's the bad guy. Whistler has done nothing to earn bad will in the franchise, you know what I mean? Like there was no evidence to support that Whistler was bad other than he just wasn't at his post one time, and they just leaned into that forever, you know what I mean? So
they're all like, he wasn't at his post one time, guys. They're all like reminding the audience,
he's the bad guy,
remember? And one thing I don't like is that they changed the rules a little bit. I know you like the technology, Ricky, but like they didn't have like all that crazy like technology that we saw. I guess we can make that argument, but they didn't show that crazy technology in the first movie, and I kind of didn't like. Well, no, not really.
Not as much. Not like that. No,
not like he's like Batman. That's what I know.
By the way, say hi. We got a couple people in the chat that just want to say hi to us there.
Hello there.
Hi there, John Lover. Hi there, Baron Von Chang.
Hey, Baron Von Chang.
I agree with you, Frank. I like. There was a lot that I loved about this movie watching it again, but I wish somebody could explain to me how a UV bomb works, especially how a UV bomb goes around corners. Like
that oh my fucking God.
I just didn't
that was an eye roll
understand.
for sure.
I didn't understand how that worked.
But
It hurt my brain.
on the flip side, I like oh, we got UV lights on our guns, but if you put the UV filter over it, you guys are safe. It's like I understand it. It's dumb, but sure. Like
Yeah, so I feel like
the whole
a lot of
techno
the
thing
rules.
was cool.
I feel like a lot of the rules from the first one changed, like in that regard, and they found it. Like how we were talking about earlier, how they're them finding methods around the rules. That's okay if it's used sparingly or if it's used like kind of in the moment. But there's no point in having an antagonist that can be killed with UV light if you're not gonna have them be killed with UV light.
Yeah.
Well, they foreshadowed the stabbing of the heart bit, right? Like you can only stab them from this angle.
Yeah, yeah, because the shell or the bone grows on top of the heart in a certain way. Yeah, what a crappy evolution. Why can't you grow the bone like all the way around?
Not crappy. That happens in like 20 minutes. Dude,
Yes.
Priest changed in like 20 minutes. Hey guys, can I have a request for you? Can you show the full design of t-shirt you wear now full screen?
Someone wants to see your chest, Frank.
We're not really
I just
models.
have cheers.
Yep. I have a black shirt on.
Not really modeling.
That's the full design, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm just wearing a regular old Marvel t-shirt, so I got nothing fancy on.
Yeah, Jason Priestley does change pretty quick. But he's not the one that was kind of weird too. That's weird that they caught one that was trying to gnaw off his arm and not succeeding. Like, how was he not succeeding at gnawing off his own arm?
He's tired.
Like, he's got a lot of teeth. That's a lot of teeth.
I will say we've been nitpicking a lot, but I will say the thing I think that made me enjoy this movie the most was Wesley Snipes. Like, I think the movie, like, they did a great job of leaning into both his charm and athleticism. I know you're talking about Norman Reedus being in the movie and Ron Perlman, but Donnie Yen, that was quite a surprise to see him play Snowman, one of the Blood Pack. And then I found out he was actually a fight choreographer, which made so much sense to me because, like, the thing that was really impressing me the most about rewatching this movie was those fight scenes that Blade had with everybody was just like, it was impressive. It was really cool. Like, and to know that those were actually Donnie Yen choreographed. At least I know for a fact that he choreographed the one where he was fighting Misa with the lights when they were still dressed like vampire ninjas. That was a Donnie Yen that was a Donnie Yen choreographed scene. There actually were 3 other fight choreographers, one of which was also Wesley Snipes. Because he is a martial artist and stuff, and so
Blade would choreograph his own.
I love the Donnie Yen stabs the vampire on the wall, and then the vampire like crawls up and slices him. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool.
Slices his own dick off.
Slices his weeples. Yeah.
In the comics, is Blade trained in martial arts, or is that?
I think in the comics, every comic character is trained in martial arts.
They're always trained in like karate or something.
Every comic book character is trained in martial arts.
Oh,
that's just a fact. But
default,
except Spider-Man.
No, I literally have images of him training with Iron Fist.
That's later on, though.
He's still trained with.
It's later on.
You can't say when is appropriate. They've
all
trained.
The Hulk trained in.
There you go.
Arts?
That's different. And yeah, Hulk's trained in martial arts because in when they did the reboot early 2000s, he started calming. He was able to control his hulkiness. So he was the Hulk all the time, but he could make it look like he was not the Hulk. He could calm himself down.
Ricky, we got like 10 minutes left, and this is where you want to go.
Rocket Raccoon. That's what he has trained.
Yep, he's trained.
There's no karate in space.
Ricky, stop it. You didn't ask karate. You asked martial arts.
He's in space martial arts.
All right. Blade 2.
Yeah, let's try not to go to Hulk questions for the rest of the episode.
I do like Blade 1 because it mimics the Hulk a lot. I think I like Blade 1 a little better just because it was a simpler story and it was easier to like kind of wrap your head around. Blade 2, there was a lot more moving parts and it was like, why are they doing that? Why are they bringing back Whistler? How does UV go around the corner? Like there was a lot of questions that were just kind of weird.
But were you asking those questions when you first watched that movie?
Yes, yes, I sure as hell was.
I actually do not remember asking those questions back in the day, but I think I was just happy to see all this crazy, like, extravaganza happening on screen. So that's fair, though. Like, with the luster gone, I watched it and I was like, some of this shit don't make sense. Like it's kind of weird. I can see that. And it's not that I don't want to rewatch Blade 1. I just didn't. I wanted to see what we thought of this after all this time, because
Blade 2 is like the pinnacle, right?
Blade 2 is the highest grossing of all the Blade movies. It's also Wesley Snipes' favorite Blade movie of the three.
And visually, it looks great. Blade 1, like when you watch the vampires dying, it looks so bad. It looks like PS2 graphics.
Yeah, dude, tell me it wasn't cool when he did that. When he used the silver wire on the vampire on the motorcycle.
The CGI holds up in this movie.
I was pretty impressed with the CG for 2002. It was pretty cool.
Even the flips and the CG Wesley Snipes, like, I thought the transitions were really well done.
The transitions were masterfully edited to switch really between between the bad CG Blade to the Wesley Snipes. Those were seamless. I was really impressed with those.
The only one that kind of looked wonky was fighting in front of the lights, but those scenes were kind of like, there was just like 2 shots of that. Yeah. And him and the Abe Sapien vampires were like kind of fighting in front of the lights.
That's always interesting in those scenes where, they're obviously, you show real life Blade fighting the vampire, and their punches have weight, but they're not like superhuman weight. And then he just does this like karate flip out of nowhere, and it's like, it's like you could have been doing that the whole time.
What's funny is Frank GDT actually hated that CG the most, the one that you pointed out in front of the lights. Like on the director's commentary, he was hating on his own stuff. So
that's fine.
You can only do what you can do with the tools you have available. So
Scorpion King's better than Blade 2, says Baron Von Chang.
No,
that launched The Rock's career, man.
No, it is not. I will easily say that for its time, Blade 2 had pretty decent CG. Especially because I've been watching crappy movies from around that time period. The Mummy Returns does not have better CG than Blade 2, but they also use it way less sparingly. It's just everywhere in The Mummy Returns.
Yep, that's the scene of Imhotep right there.
That's right, you remember.
But I think the other thing that really sells this movie is, like we were saying, like that aesthetic overall, like all the creature effects, everything. Yes. Yes, I'm glad to see you were kidding.
You get the eyebrow though.
The aesthetics, like the way the Reapers look, the way
there's a consistency to everything.
Damaskinos, is that his name? Like Damaskinos.
Yeah,
Damaskinos looks. Funny enough, like people have attributed, because I guess Guillermo del Toro had a TV show called The Strain that was about vampires.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that he stole or he borrowed the aesthetics from Blade 2, but it turns out actually that he was developing The Strain before Blade 2. So what he did is he altered his designs just enough to be different for Blade 2, and then went on later to actually produce The Strain. But I just think it's so cool to have a director that's that hands-on with the way that everything looks, like the way the creatures look, the way the tongues coming out of their, their weird alien tongues and all these things, like just all of that design, the way they look when they blow up or die and stuff like that.
Oh god, that was all what made it. GDT back for the new Blade.
That would be amazing.
That's a get I feel they can do. They can, like,
because he's gone to his true form now. Like GDT can do it now.
He got his Oscar. He's in retirement mode at this point. Doing stuff for fun.
He's not in retirement mode.
Not retirement, but he's not chasing that mountain anymore.
Yeah.
So it's funny you bring up The Strain, because I used to watch that show. That was around the time that wasn't around the time, but it was past the time that I was into White Wolf. Like, someone had told me to watch that, and they said it was based on White Wolf. It's not based on White Wolf, but like it kind of follows those same kind of rules and stuff. And one thing I didn't like about Blade 2, and this isn't Blade 2's fault. This is I fully admit that this is my own experiences that I didn't like was that they had some characters that fully look like White Wolf-esque type characters, or certain clans of vampires that were not. They didn't follow in line with those clans, like the Nomak is he looks like a Nosferatu vampire as a clan in White Wolf, and he didn't follow those parameters. And I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. But I did like it a lot better this time. I like the evolution of vampires. I like that they evolved. It's really cool.
I thought that the Damaskinos actually looked a lot more like Nosferatu.
I agree.
Yeah, I read somewhere that in order to get the rated R for the movie, what they did is they made all the Reapers bleed green.
Yeah, that's what I read that too. That's funny.
Because it would have just been too much blood if they didn't do that. I thought that was pretty funny.
One thing also too is with
a crazy virus, by the way.
I was gonna say, I remember that being a crazy virus that was gonna, destroy the world or whatever. But now I get the impression that was a red herring, because it doesn't last as long and it's not as far reaching as we thought it was before.
Well, it is a crazy virus, but it was genetically engineered.
Yeah.
And it was an offshoot. You remember Damaskinos made Nomak that way with because he was trying to phase out all the crappy weaknesses, and they got all but one, right? They got everything but the sun phased out, so it was almost perfection. But yeah, what I thought was really crazy is that they made it seem like, oh man, this is gonna, what happens when they finish eating all the vampires? The projections were.
They didn't follow up on the scope of the.
That was kind of one of the bigger problems with the movie, is you never really see the people that Blade is saving, so it's one of those superhero stories where you're told that the world is endangered, but you don't really get to have a connective moment with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for because they were in Prague, I was just waiting for a family living on the outskirts of town that wasn't aware that there was a giant apocalyptic explosion happening, and so Blade and the Blood Pack could come and rescue them. No, it is missing that connection, right? It's all fun and no real stakes, right? You're not allowed to really feel it.
But Blade 1 had stakes.
Oh, I did not mean to do that. Sorry, that's pun not intended.
Blade 1 had stakes, but it didn't have. You also didn't have that connection either.
He had a connection to the woman that was turned in the story, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying there was a worldwide thing that was going to happen. It was going to turn everyone to vampires, which doesn't...
that's kind of in general David Goyer's problem, right? Is Goyer's not great at really doing that, right? He gets a lot of praise for the Dark Knight trilogy, but he also should get crapped on for not
your faults, right?
No, even for those, right? I think Batman Begins does a great job of showing stakes, and I think Dark Knight does, because they actually show you the people that are going to die if something happens. But
watching this, I got a lot of I Am Legend vibes, the story I Am Legend. Is there ever a Blade story where the vampires are bro, we're just trying to live. Stop killing us.
That's funny. You got that, because Guillermo del Toro was intentionally referencing I Am Legend and Watchmen in one of his scenes. It's in the sewer. He loves Dr. Manhattan, and so that scene where I think I don't remember which one, with the Matt Scholze or whatever, when he gets the pheromones all sprayed on him and all of those Reapers come mobbing on top of him. That was an homage to I Am Legend. But then when he explodes, and it's from the UV light, I think, or somebody explodes from the UV. That was his take on doing a Dr. Manhattan death. Yeah. Yeah. I read a lot of fun, cool facts, from interviews and stuff with Del Toro. But it's cool that you got those vibes, because that's what Del Toro was putting out there. So mission accomplished, I suppose. Yeah.
Goyer also wrote Dark City, which is a pretty cool cyberpunk kind of steampunk. No, it's more cyberpunk kind of movie. If you're interested in that kind of thing, Ricky, I would recommend watching Dark City.
Dark City.
Yeah, it also has that vampire. I forget his name. The guy. Oh wait, no, I'm getting that confused with Johnny Mnemonic. Never mind. But Johnny Mnemonic too. Watch that one.
I
Goyer
did.
didn't write it, unfortunately.
Were there any other weird questions that you guys had when you were watching this movie that kind of stood out to you?
I believe we already talked about why they didn't put a tarp or a guard railing over the blood pit.
I was quite shocked at the response time of the pandemic because, like, what I think they said that Nomak had been up for 12 hours or something like that. And I'm like, dude, can you imagine if the world we live in responded to pandemics as fast as these vampires do?
Yeah, yeah.
That was impressive. They nipped that thing in the bud fast.
Right, like
cool.
Blade got all of them right by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
they did.
Good job.
Until you watch Blade Trinity.
Yeah. And then you see the poodles.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like Blade and Nyssa, like they loved each other? Like, I didn't feel like the scene where he's holding her at the end was
I got
earned.
weird because Blade mentions at the beginning, he's like, you know that saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And like, okay.
There was a sex scene cut from the movie.
Really?
What?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to watch the extended cut.
Was it between Blade and Nomak, or?
It was all of them. It was just a big happy party at the end. No, it was Blade
with blood in the spring.
Blade and Nyssa did have a sex scene that was cut from the movie.
Where could they have found the time to have sex?
Yeah,
probably why they cut it from the movie. They were like, guys, there's some things that don't make sense in this movie. I kind of want to keep the UV bomb.
You get the UV bomb or the sex scene, Goyer. You pick one.
Pick one. Yeah. Well, I still had fun watching this, and I had fun, talking about it. I don't know. Did you guys I guess the real question, I want to know is would you recommend this? Because I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and this movie has been dragged through the mud a lot harsher than I believe it deserves. But it's because I think that it predates Rotten Tomatoes, right? So the only people that are going to review it on Rotten are I don't know, a-holes that just want to hate on Blade 2, I guess.
It'll be fun to revisit this when the new Blade comes out, and listen, kids, sit around the fire. You don't know how good you have it right now.
Well,
this is what we had.
But would you recommend this? It has a 57% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes with an average rating of 6.04 out of 10. Do you think it deserves that score? Do you think it's that bad?
Nah, definitely not. I think it's
a 7 out of 10.
I think it's a C, but the problem is I'm grading it a little lower because I know my nostalgia glasses were on when I was watching it. You know, just seeing Norman Reedus, Ron Perlman, Chris Christopherson, seeing all that again was pretty cool, and it kind of took me back to a time when I watched it. A time 18, 19 years ago when I watched it.
When you took your friends to go see that, Dennis, or same with Frank, did the people you were with know that Blade was a Marvel character? Or was Blade just a thing?
Yeah, everybody knew that Blade was a Marvel character that knew me after the first movie, because I made sure they knew that after the first movie. Because the first movie totally flew under the radar and made a ton of money. And then I would be like, you guys know that's a Marvel comic, right? And because they didn't used to start with that fancy red logo at the beginning, you know? Yeah. So I don't know people that don't know that he's a Marvel character if they go to see the movie with me.
I saw that shit alone. I used to go see movies alone all the time, just because
best way to do it.
I hated waiting for people, and I wanted to chew
right
as
there
loud
with
as
you,
possible.
Frank. I will see a movie alone anytime I get the chance.
Yeah, actually, most sequels I've seen alone, except for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That was the only sequel that I saw.
I walked to my movie theater on the opening day of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Yes. Bought me a ticket and a large popcorn and watched that movie alone, and then I walked back home.
We didn't bring up the Hulk, but he did go Fantastic Four. Yep. There it is. Do you have anything else to add on Blade 2, guys?
Did you guys see Mephisto in it?
No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't see Mephisto in it at all. What do you guys have any predictions? Do you have predictions for the new one?
Mephisto
with Mahershala Ali.
Oh man, I don't know where Blade fits in this world. It's kind of like the Doctor Strange of the supernatural. They're gonna need to carve that space in the MCU. I guess we
Right.
did get a confirmation that vampires exist, right? Korg mentioned vampires like in passing in Thor Ragnarok.
When did he do that? I don't remember.
I think when they're getting ready to fight the Hulk, Thor pulls out like a trident and he's like, "You could stab 3 vampires with it." Like that's like the quote with it. Pull it up.
Confirmed.
Save it for
Confirmed.
next week. Vampires are confirmed in the MCU.
Confirmed vampires.
In passing. But yeah, I have no idea how they do Blade justice with the PG-13 rating, you know, while also doing those movies justice, you know?
I don't have a prediction, but I would hope that they lean into the supernatural and lean away from the technology thing.
I agree.
It's fine if they do some technology. Like it was cool seeing Pearl in the first one, the big fat vampire, typing and doing stuff with computers and stuff. Because you know, like you do, like you just program the Lamagra virtualization for everybody. But it was cool. It was cool to see that. But once you saw the vampire embryos in Damaskinos' lair, it just kind of took me out of it a little too much.
Yeah. I will say I think Mahershala still has big shoes to fill just because he has to replace our idea of Wesley Snipes as Blade. I think story-wise, I think the movies they'll figure it all out. They'll address your concerns. Like I've seen probably more hours of PG-13 vampires than I have non. So it's not really a problem for me. It becomes, it's just about doing clever filmmaking and figuring out a way to make that work. I mean, Supernatural's got tons of vampires on it, and that shows on TV all the time.
I found
and they do blood, and they do
quote.
Decapitations. That's cool.
Hold on, let me pull.
You
want to use a wooden fork? Yeah, no, that's not really useful unless you're fighting 3 vampires huddled together.
That could be a literature reference too, just so you know.
Confirmed.
Vampires confirmed. Feige, everything's intentional.
It's
confirmed.
That's not confirmed, and also that would mean in space vampires.
Space vampires exist. Confirmed.
That's fine. It's okay. Anyways, I'm trying to wrap this up, and here you are still quoting Korg.
We got a question in the comments,
guys.
also.
I know we have a great question, and I'm trying to get to this. But yeah, I agree with you, Frank, that I think that MCU Blade would be a lot better off if it was more supernatural rather than tied to like weird virus stuff and side tech and all these things. But yeah, Sea Cow Soda did take us to the question that we do need to have answered at some point. What are we going to watch and read next week? By the way, I do have a special guest lined up, and I have pitched that to him or her because I'm interested to see. I wish we had an answer for you for that one, but like if there's anything that you guys in the audience would like us to revisit, to go talk about, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just it might not be next week, but it might be for the following week or so.
We'll read Stephen Norrington's other film, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh no!
We could read that one. That'd be.
Wait, we're gonna read it or we're gonna watch it?
Oh, we can watch it. We can watch that one.
Oh, okay. I definitely
watching it's probably better and more user friendly than reading it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of topics that we have to be really cool with real quick if we're gonna read it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this was an experiment to see. I had fun watching Blade 2 for sure. I had fun chatting about it. I wish I had more amazing takeaways other than like it is a product of the late 90s, early 2000s. But it is important to also point out that like Blade, the first movie, really ushered in the entire, renaissance of superhero movies that we have now, because this movie came out of nowhere. Warner Brothers was the weirdest thing about that is Warner Brothers was like looking for cool comic books to adapt into movies. And so they bought up the rights to Blade. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Warner Brothers? You literally own DC Comics. and you're going and buying
Right.
Marvel properties to make movies
I
out
think
of.
this Blade guy looks pretty cool.
There's an interesting pitch right there, guys, and I actually really don't mind this one, which Sea Cow Soda is suggesting we all go watch New Mutants and talk about the comic it's based on, aka the Demon Bear. That's kind of cheating because she and I did that together.
I just watched that, so I don't know how quickly I want to watch it again.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that one, but maybe not for next week.
I have an
But yeah.
interesting story about the dad, right? The girl's dad in that movie, who's also Slipknot in Suicide Squad, right?
Oh, Danny Moonstar's dad?
What are you talking about?
Yes.
Are you talking
In
about
the-
New Mutants?
Yeah,
Oh,
about
so
New
if you have New Mutant stories, we save it for another episode
Oh, yeah,
because
no.
we have to log off right now.
tease for that episode when we ever, if and when we do the New
what-
Mutants.
He's whetting their appetite, whetting our
In
fans'
any
appetite.
case, we promise to be back. I am going to say that I still recommend Blade 2 as a fun revisit of Guillermo del Toro's early works. You can see the inspiration for so many of the great things that he's done afterwards. Ricky, where do you land on it? Do you recommend people go watch Blade 2 on HBO Max or no?
Yes, only on HBO Max.
But before you do recommend it or not recommend it, tell us about the Demon Bear.
No, I'll save that for
no. Guys, we have to have something for the soapbox. All right. So, okay. I think that's his best. Like, it's really, guys, I don't know if you know this. It's hard to keep these two on track. They want to go in every direction ever. God bless them for it, but we got a show to wrap up.
Guys,
so.
If you want more Demon Bear talk, go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon and make sure to smash that like button, much like Chupa smashes. No, not Chupa. Who's the other guy? Ham. Make like Ham smashes people with his hammer. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring that bell for more great content.
You know, honestly, I don't think I could do any better than that. So
Right.
I think that's enough said for us. Thank you all for watching.
See you guys.
See you next week, guys.